Joining us now in Studio B, the last man, or one of the last men, to win a conference tournament championship for BYU basketball in Las Vegas circa 2001. Mekeli Wesley played for Steve Cleveland and the new assistant coach, Heath Schreyer. Mekeli, welcome to Studio B.
Hello, Mekeli.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
The pride of Provo High, one of the legends of Provo High.
Yes. Are you ready to give us the dirt on Steve Cleveland and Heath Schreyer?
Oh, I've got all the dirt you need. Just fire away. No, I'm super excited. That's a big time hire for these guys, and I'll tell you what, he's going to bring the intensity level, especially on the defensive end, to where Cougar fans expect it. And I think, last year you saw some lapses. They showed that they had the talent and they had the potential. When you win at Gonzaga against the #1 ranked team who's undefeated, and that wasn't, that wasn't some adversity that they overcame. That was a ton of adversity. Starting the game 18-2 down and, battling back and then being, kind of tight towards the end and making some clutch plays, plus the defensive effort. That's the kind of level that we want to see more consistency of. And I think with Coach Schreyer, now granted, when I had him, he was full of fire. I hope he still has that same fire and tenacity. But I don't think he's going to be missing any of that. He's definitely a fireball.
It's been 16 years since he was here, so certainly, 16 years ago you were different. I know that. I was different 16 years ago, right? He was known for like this shrill. Jeff Call of the Des News said this shrill voice on the bench. What's that all about?
Oh,
like he would be screaming?
Yeah, he could scream. You can put on any film, any game film, and you're going to hear his voice above the crowd, above everything. And that was one thing when my wife was like, "Oh, Schroyer's back. Okay, so we'll be able to hear him from the bench." No, and he brings that intensity. I heard him give an interview Friday with Ben Criddle and the boys over there at a different network, and he said some really profound things that I really enjoyed. And one of my biggest takeaways from his interview was getting confidence back on the defensive side of the ball, which I'd never really, heard that concept before. I know, to be a successful athlete, you've got to have a level of confidence where, to perform at your highest. And you usually associate that with offensive side of the ball, right? Shooting the ball, being confident in, what you're doing. But I think the level that Schroyer's going to bring with that confidence on the defensive side of the ball, which was really a big shock to me coming in as a high school kid to the next level of college, was the amount of preparation. That guy's dissected film and spent hours in, the film room with the players. I mean, I remember we would get into the film room and he'd say, "Okay," he'd have every single play of the other team, inbounds plays, sets, tendencies, player tendencies, and he'd leave us in the room for like 30 minutes just to copy what he had down. He wouldn't print it out and give it to you. He wanted us to write it down so it kind of stuck in your memory. And that's the kind of level of preparation. Now, I'm not saying that they didn't have that, but he's pretty meticulous about knowing what the other guys are going to run, what to take away, what sets. And I think that's what brings that confidence, is knowing that you're prepared and knowing what to expect and how to stop it, and then going out there and executing a game plan.
Now, it paid off because BYU had, I believe, a top 25 defense in the NCAA your senior year in 2001, and the same year that you won the conference tournament championship in Las Vegas, got back to the NCAA tournament. So what kind of a difference do you expect in year number one when Heath Schreyer joins Dave Rose? Because it's a project, right?
It is, and granted, he's coming into a situation unlike the one where he came into 20 years ago. And he mentioned that in his interview. He came into a program with Steve Cleveland. Dave Rose was an assistant where, the previous year they had gone 1-25. So
it's a little better now.
Yeah, it's a little better. We won in 20-plus games. You've got a pipeline. You're established. Coach Rose has done an amazing job of recruiting and building an identity of what fans have come to expect. And when you win 20 games and it's a disappointment, obviously the level of expectation is high, which, that's a good thing, right? You want high expectations. And with the team, having as much talent as it did this year, I think expectations were a little high for what we saw at the end. And with Schreyer coming in, I think it's only going to improve the situation. It's only going to improve the defensive intensity, and I think that's what fans want to see, and I think that's what Coach Rose and the staff expects. Your
senior year was this culmination of one win to tournament title, right? From your freshman to senior year, it was just this crazy turnaround, right? And like you said, it's different now. But BYU has not won a conference tournament title since your senior year. Isn't that unbelievable, given how successful these teams have been, that just not one time they've got it done in Vegas?
It is. If you would have told me it's been 17, 18 years, 16 years, whatever it's been, it's hard to believe, especially with some of the talent, with the National Player of the Year in Jimmer and Jackson and that loaded team. You would have expected that to happen. And, we had some things go right for us. Utah got knocked off by New Mexico. It's always nice when you're playing in Vegas and UNLV's not in the field, having home court advantage.
Yeah.
So
I don't miss that at all.
Yeah, I mean, because the year prior, we knocked off Utah, my junior year, we knocked off Utah in the tournament, which was huge for us because back then, Utah was stacked. I mean, my freshman year, they go to the national championship game, have that game in hand against Kentucky and a loaded, Rick Pitino squad, and kind of just got gassed at the end. But, we get over that hump. We beat them in the tournament, and then we face UNLV in the championship game. And I remember, I looked over the bench. We're down 30. They're playing Rebels. And my guys were saying, I'm like, guys, we're not the Rebels. We're the Cougars. It was just one of those nights where everything went well for them. We were kind of coming off that high of beating Utah and getting over that hump. And, it was a bloodbath. But the next year, we kind of learned from it. We won the conference championship. We won the tournament, which was huge. And we kind of earned our way into the NCAA tournament, which was huge for us. It was a validation of getting, progressing year over year from a 1-in-25 year, my senior year of high school, to building it up. And our freshman year, our goal, there were 16 teams in the WAC. Our goal was just to make it to the WAC tournament in Vegas. And we had to beat UTEP.
I remember
UTEP.
this game.
Yeah,
like triple overtime or something, right?
You got fouled at midcourt or something, and Greg Wrubell went crazy.
Yeah, so that road trip is a crazy hard swing because you're in the pit, which they're on a 47-game win streak, and they're ranked 12th in the nation, and we go in there and beat them by 20.
With the black jerseys.
Yeah, with the black jerseys.
The
unveiling of the black jerseys. So, and Justin Whitehour, who's our only senior on the team, plays out of his mind, like the best game of his life. And it was one of those deals where everything kind of went right. We got up big, and the fans there were just stunned. They're like, these guys are terrible. How are they playing with us? And we beat them. And we get in the locker room after the game, and Cleveland's like, yeah, that was a good win, guys, but it doesn't get us where we need to be. We need to beat UTEP. We're like, oh, okay.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thanks, Coach. So here we are going to UTEP, and they're good. And, that was just a battle to the end. And you had guys coming in off the bench. Lance Archibald hit an NBA 3 with like 4 seconds left to extend it to the third overtime. And then the last play of the game, we have the ball with 3.7 seconds or something like that. And we're at our own basket. And Cleve draws up a play for me to run up to half court and set a back screen for someone. And I get a half court pass. I put my head down and I'm trucking it to the basket. And
you're like, I'm not setting a screen.
Yeah,
for anybody.
I'm not giving up the ball. I'm not doing anything. I remember glancing up as I hit the 3-point line and seeing like 1 point something seconds. I'm like, I can get to the hole. And I got there and got hacked. Tie game. There's like 0.7 seconds when they call the foul, and we're tied. And I step up there, and I'd already shot 16 free throws in the game. I was like 15 for 16.
Woo! You were the James Harden.
And I step up there, and I missed the first. Of course, right? And they call a timeout. It's Coach Haskins, legendary coach for UTEP. And he ices me, and I'm like, hey, I'm dead tired, for one. Like, there's no way we're going into a fourth overtime. Sink the second one. We win by 1, and we're into the WAC tournament.
The WAC tournament.
That was our goal.
It was such an accomplishment.
It really was, and that was we were 9 wins, and it was crazy because we win our very first game on the road at San Diego State that year. I'm like, this is going to be awesome. We're gonna have a sweet year, and I think we proceed to lose our next 12.
Mekeli Wesley with us in Studio B, reminiscing about BYU basketball in the late 90s. A guy that went toe-to-toe with Casper's Kambala at UNLV
nice
and many others. BYU's trying to climb that hill in the West Coast Conference, and that hill being Gonzaga and St. Mary's, to a degree. can they do it without Eric Mika if he decides to go to the NBA?
Boy, that's a good question, because you saw what he brings. He's such a physical specimen. He's polished. His offensive game is getting better. Brings you that rim protection. It's going to be tough, when you got a first-team all-conference player with NBA talent. Obviously, he's testing the waters, and I'm sure he's going to get some looks based on just his size, his physicality, the way he moves, and give him credit for getting his body back in shape after the mission, because that's not. I never served one, but I saw what the guys went through when they came back off their mission. It's not an easy thing to condition your body in that short amount of time and be ready to play. And he's looking really, really good and looked good the whole year, physically wise. He didn't seem to lose a ton of weight during the season, which is, hard to do, to maintain your weight because you're practicing so much and you're playing. And he's polished. You saw in that Gonzaga game, he hit that huge 18-footer from the top of the key that was, almost sealed the game for him. And he's shown really well in some of these big games. Against USC in LA, he played really well. In Chicago, he played really well. So without him, you've got a big void to fill. And I think guys will have to step up, and whether that be recruiting to bring other guys in, or adjust your style to more of a guard-based system, which you've seen. I was surprised to see, and I was happy to see Rose use the post quite a bit this year, going inside out. And I thought we could have used the inside out a little bit better with getting the ball back out to some of our shooters and shooting a higher percentage from that three. But it's going to be tough without Mika, definitely.
All right, Mekeli Wesley with us. I want to bring up the polo that you have on it, More to Life.
More
that was
Life.
the golf tournament that you played in with Kalani Sitake. What was that like over the weekend to play for that cause and that purpose?
Yeah, it was awesome. I got a late invite. I'm happy to support Kalani, and I'm super excited about what he's doing, the energy he's bringing, the level of talent he's bringing in. And I just love the buzz and the excitement that he's brought back to the community around this BYU football team. So, Kalani and I go way back. I've known his family since I was a freshman in high school, 14 years old. His younger sister and I went to prom together. We were best friends in high school.
Really?
Yeah, best friends, and we're still pretty close. So I know, it was one of those deals where the girls of his family went to Provo High and the boys went to Timpview. They were a football family, obviously. Yeah. So TJ played a little bit of basketball as well, and I'm sure Kalani did. But Kalani was a little bit older, so I really got to know him more when we were classmates together here at BYU. He was a football player. I was a basketball player, obviously. But, I'm very excited. I know a ton of his staff, and Tavito Fangawe, Reno Mahe, Jack DeMooney, all those guys. And I love what he's doing. And I love the energy and the expectations and what he's doing with that program. So it was fun to get out there and rub shoulders and see some of those guys that you hadn't seen for a long time. Caught up with Fui Vakapuna, and the list goes on. Sitting at my lunch table, I had Ty Detmer and Chad Lewis, and it was amazing. It was awesome.
The greatest of the Wesley brothers in Studio B, hanging out on BYU Sports Nation. Okay, we would love for you to autograph our stretch wide flag behind us.
Yeah, you did Craig Jury proud. We want
Absolutely.
You to know that,
Thank you. You want me to do it now, guys?
Hey, yeah. Give us the autograph now. We're going to bring you back in just so that we can discuss prom with Kalani Sitake's little sister.
Kalani stories from
yes,
college.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what I want to know.
Mekeli Wesley signing the flag behind us in Studio B.